Hi, I'm Matt Matar, and this is TelliCast. We're with Scott Watermastick again to talk about the next of Community Server. So, Community Server 2008 would be the next?
No, there will be a major, not 100% sure, there will be at least one major point release before 2008. And there will very likely be, I don't know if we're going to call it a true service pack or a point release before then.
So what kind of stuff is on the horizon for Community Server?
So we have two big objectives. So we're still trying to figure out the details of the service pack. So we'll hold off on that a little. I just don't want to have people jumping on. But we have two big items that we're looking for, at least two big items, in the next point release. Coming up. One of the things we did recently change is kind of how we do version numbers and that kind of stuff. And the idea behind it was so that we didn't have to tie all of our really, really big things to the first release. So we'd have to do every big idea we had in 2007. Right. 2007 is a version that kind of stretches out and kind of spans the course of a year. So we have two big features that we're looking for in the next major point release. The first one is called Hawaii, tentatively called Hawaii, and that should be, in a nutshell, that should be Google Groups or Yahoo Groups in your own community. So a location within your site where you can define a blog, a file gallery, and a forum out of the box. And you can have people join it and be members of it. You can have people apply to be membership. So we'll get some more details out. We have like 3 or 4 kind of membership scenarios that we part of. We're hopefully going to extend Chameleon as part. Just as a disclaimer, everything is subject to change.
Absolutely.
But we're looking to extend Chameleon further and make it so you get some designability within that. So if you want different widgets, I call it iWidget. The developers will tell you it's got a much fancier, kind of interface or namespace to it. But the ability for you as an end user to write little modules that you can plug in and share in the sidebar and rearrange it. Really enable you to have much closer to a portal style than what we've previously offered. And not only just in groups, but that widget type stuff and that designability should extend across Community Server. Because one of the benefits of Community Server is that it's a platform, or that we're building it up to be a platform. And so one of the great things is that we want to do this designability for the groups, because it's an important facet of the groups. But since Chameleon is essentially a service to Community Server, those changes go to Chameleon, and then with little effort we can move them into some of the other parts of Community Server. So that's the first big major feature.
That was called
Hawaii.
Hawaii. Okay.
The idea being it's a bunch of islands. And we try to be cute every once in a while.
Right.
Then the second major feature we're calling Fiji. So Hawaii is really a feature. Fiji is more of a developer experience. So Fiji is the idea of that our data providers that exist now. So we have a data provider for each application, and we have a common data provider, and that they're good in theory. When I do trainings and stuff, and I talk to people about Community Server, I kind of explain that our providers are kind of like the assembly language of Community Server. It's the lowest level of Community Server we expose. And so if you're ever writing custom code and you go, man, I really need to change something, and with the data where your data is coming in and out of Community Server, the data providers is where you would do it. If we don't expose a plugin or something you can derive or get into it, you can always get to it before it gets to the database. We completely expose every method there. As an example, we have a Windows service that runs for jobs, and we have to do some just really simple, quick local logging, and so we don't expose a way of overriding logging in our API. Not yet. We don't. And so what the developer did is he just derived from the main data provider and overrode it, and actually could write locally and then still save the database. But I'm getting off topic a little bit. So the idea is that these providers make a lot of sense, but as we go from having 4 applications to potentially in 2008 we're shooting for anywhere from 4 to 5 new applications being part of it, that we're growing at leaps and bounds, and it just makes the manageability of it too difficult. Every time we want to do a new application, we essentially duplicate a lot of existing functionality. There is some shared. We do have like a common provider that works between them, but there's a lot of duplication. I think we're in the realm of anywhere from maybe 300, 400 stored procedures, which isn't atrocious. There's certainly little things we can do to clean it up. But when you want to go and you want to add, we talked the last time about the wiki and the KB, and you want to add a wiki and KB, it doesn't make sense that you have to do all these same things over and over again. And sometimes you can get around some of them, but there's still ways we can make it simpler. And so that the goal of Fiji, unlike Hawaii, doesn't really mean anything. I'm just a big fan of the Fiji water. And literally,
now we know where the name came from.
Yeah, literally.
Last night sitting around, you had, hey, I got a good name.
They say all water tastes the same. It doesn't.
It doesn't.
If Fiji wants to send me water, that'd be great. Stuff's expensive. But so Fiji's the idea of let's build one common data provider that as an example weblogs would derive from, and if there were 2 or 3 methods that were different, if for weblogs we needed to pull post data from a secondary table, or we needed to extend threads or some other root object, you could derive from the common data provider and override that method, and then just do your changes, right? You can call into the base and do your changes. We can do some really good things with generics to keep things strongly typed, or maybe even go with like a factory pattern, so you can tell us what type you'd expect, and kind of go back and forth with it. And so the idea behind that is to make it simpler to create add-ons. And so for end users, you're not going to see that big of a difference. Hopefully you don't see that big of a difference.
Right.
Just about everything should be, hidden from you behind the scenes. But what as an end user you should start to see is you should probably start to see more add-ons. You should see us being able to ramp up and do more add-ons, in different applications, much easier for community server. We're going to work on, and in addition to that, we're going to work on some things to make it easier. We're getting more and more users that want to get into the realms of 20,000, 30,000, 50,000 blogs. And some of the things we do now, we have a very rich permission system. And for a lot of, especially when you're talking 50,000 blogs, you're not talking about people who are doing who have 49,000 different versions of users that can access it. It's usually everything's public, everything's private, or just about everything's public, and these couple things there. So we're working on some things now that will make it much easier to say, hey, I don't need to do this this rich permission checking that you guys do ahead of time, and simplify those things. And I think that will allow us to start growing by leaps and bounds in a number of blogs that we support.
Fantastic. So that's 2 major features. I guess one's a change that affects the end user quite a bit.
A lot. The groups feature.
Yeah.
The groups feature. I drink our own Kool-Aid a lot, but the groups feature will be a huge thing for both us and I think for the community.
Absolutely.
We have a group of that we call the community server MVPs, and they have their own private forum on community server. We have an internal mailing list that we use quite a bit, but we still don't have a great way of talking with them and saying, okay, here's what we're thinking, here's what's on the roadmap. They already have a forums area. Here's files you want to share. Right now, in community server, you can create a private blog, private forum, which we already do, and a private file gallery. But there's no great way of bringing them together. It's not hard code to do like in a one-off style, but to make it so people can manage it and have membership and show who's a member and that kind of stuff. So it'll give us a way to talk with with those people. I always kid around and say with my local DE in New Jersey that we could do something like NewJerseyDev.org. And we could have like a Java group, we could have a VB group, a C# group, and have all these people in one community in their own mini sub-community, but yet all being part of the same thing. And if I'm into VB and C#, I can join both.
Yeah.
I don't have to pick and choose different things. You don't have to install multiple community server sites, although you're more than welcome to. You don't have to install multiple community server sites. You don't have to have, you don't have to figure out how to do shared membership or set up shared membership. So it really simplifies it, because for a lot of times you don't need 30 forums. You need a forum, that chat about something.
Yeah. Well, that's fantastic. So what's it going to be called? So if it's a point release for Community Server 2007, is it 2007?
Well, so we always have an internal name for it. So right now, and again, this is subject to changes. It would be the Gilligan release. The Gilligan release with the island theme, and Gilligan was stuck on an island.
Okay, cool. So all right, and we'll find out marketing details and all that stuff about what we would call that and when it's going to come out. So you can follow the communityserver.org blog, the announcements blog, for I'm sure details on that, as well as check out our blog roll with all the CS guys. There's there is plenty of information that comes straight out of the CS team on their personal blogs. So check that out. So Scott, thank you for being with us again, and thank you for watching. And we'll talk to you in about a week.
Bye.